There's a complex and confounding issue affecting an increasing number of Australian school students. They're pupils who want to learn, but they're refusing to go into the classroom. The reason? They feel physically unable because they're so overwhelmed by anxiety. It's got nothing to do with wagging, and no, they simply don't need to toughen up. As Sylvia Jeffries reports, the phenomenon of school refusal is a problem that has many teachers and parents very worried.
Her uniform is on, her shoelaces are tied. 16-year-old Sarah looks ready to go to school. But taking the next step has, more often than not, been a step too far.
It felt like it was kind of impossible to go to school. It wasn't like a choice kind of thing. It was like I just felt like I physically couldn't go.
For this Year 10 student from Melbourne, there have been more losses than victories in the daily battle to get to the classroom.
I feel faint and like sick and weak, and I get like my heart racing and shaking and stuff like that. Some of my hardest days, I'd just be having panic attacks all morning, and I couldn't like move, or even if I'd get to school in the car, I couldn't get out, or I'd get out and I just felt like frozen kind of.
Sarah used to be an A-grade student, diligent, motivated and popular. But that all fell apart in 2021 as she struggled to cope with COVID lockdowns in Victoria.
I used to love school, yeah, a lot. I was very outgoing and did a lot of things before the lockdowns. It wasn't until the lockdowns where we were at home a lot that I started not wanting to go out and getting really anxious about going out.
How much school do you think you've missed in the last 2 years?
Over 50% of school, so a lot.
What do you want for breakfast, Gabby?
You don't know? Do you want avocado toast?
Across Melbourne, 13-year-old Gabby is also struggling to go to school.
Are you going to go to school today? You are? I'm going to try.
For his parents, Christelle and Gabor, the goal most mornings is simply to keep their cool, no matter how frustrating and uncomfortable this is for everyone. Today, sadly, is not a good day. Gabby shuts himself in his bedroom, complaining of a headache.
How much school has he missed this year?
Overall, he's been to school for about 60 days and he's missed over 80 days of school. So, yeah, probably about 2/3.
2/3?
Yeah.
So more than half of the year
Yep.
he's been at home?
Yep. Teaching himself.
What do your worst days look like?
So he gets ready, we get into a car, I'll drive him, but he goes into like a really bad case of anxiety, I guess. He bangs his head against the seat, and it's not a good experience.
How does that make you feel as mum to see him so distressed?
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, it's definitely hard.
What's confounding is it's not a reluctance to do schoolwork that's keeping Gabby away from the classroom. With his mum's help, he does his best to continue his studies at home. But even still, his grades are slipping.
On the bad days when you can't go, how do you feel?
Nothing really, just don't want to go to school that day for some reason.
Do you feel a bit sick?
Only sometimes, not really that much.
You just can't go?
Yeah.
Do you wish you could go to school more often?
I guess, yeah, sometimes.
It's a feeling Sarah understands all too well. She likes her teachers, she likes her friends, she even quite likes exams. Her problem is she finds school unbearable.
Has anyone told you, you just have to suck it up and go to school?
Yeah, I've had a lot of that. A lot of people just telling me to push through and just do it, or a lot of accusations that's just because I don't want to go. I'd say that they don't know actually what it's like. And it's a lot more physical than you think. It's like very isolating, and it's very like stops you from actually doing things you want. It's not like you don't want to do it, it's like you physically can't.
While kids have been wagging the odd day of school here and there forever, school refusal is a very different thing. It's not truancy, and young people like Sarah and Gabby are not isolated cases. In Australia, the number of students crippled by so much fear they can't attend the classroom has grown alarmingly. By some estimates, 1 in 3 families with school-aged children are affected by it.
School refusal is a tricky word. It's really school can't, not won't so much. So it's kids with anxiety-based school avoidance who really struggle with social anxiety and really find it difficult to get out of home, into school and into the classroom.
Social worker John Chelu has the challenging job of helping hundreds of students who are struggling with school. His Melbourne clinic, the only one of its kind in Australia, has never been busier.
It's really an issue that affects kids aged 5 through to 17, school age, from all walks of life and from all neurodiverse and neurotypical backgrounds.
How bad does this get?
In the worst case scenarios, I'm dealing with children who have pretty much shut down and gone on strike, and who are locked in their bedrooms, and there's massive conflict in the home. In some cases, children have lost the will to live and are really threatening to end their lives.
I think there's a lot of reasons for school refusal. One is that children have become far more supervised and far more scrutinised than they were in previous generations. The lives of these children are becoming far more intense and far more claustrophobic, and that's making it very difficult for them to cope when they're put in a different environment. And so the school environment to many of them feels overwhelming and dangerous and threatening because it doesn't have that claustrophobic familiarity of the home.
John Marsden is a celebrated author of children's books, as well as the principal at Candlebark, an alternative school on the outskirts of Melbourne. Here, things are done a little differently.
Are kids allowed to have mobile phones at this school?
No, they're not using phones at all.
Are parents supportive of that?
If they're not, it's too bad. That's the way it is. And if they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. We don't apologise for the kind of schooling we're offering. And what part of the world was it set in?
John's philosophy is to encourage resilience and a sense of adventure among his students, something he fears the modern approach to parenting has been denying children.
The style of parenting has a considerable influence on whether children will cope well with school or not. I think there is a pandemic of child abuse in Australia which no one will confront or talk about, but it's invisible because it's not abuse of the body. People are clothing their children adequately and effectively and even attractively, or they are looking after their food and they're looking after their housing and they're looking after their schooling. But what's happening is damage to the inner self.
It's very strong to talk about this as a form of child abuse. Do you cop some criticism for that?
Oh yeah, these aren't popular views, but they're views that I've formed after 45 years of teaching.
Penny Allman-Payne disagrees. She was a public school teacher for 30 years before becoming a Greens senator in Canberra. She cautions those who are quick to lay blame on mums and dads.
It's absolutely not poor parenting. It's not that a young person is deficient in some way or is watching too much social media or the like. It's a systemic issue. And I think we need to come back to the fact that we have a schooling system that is not working for every young person.
Earlier this year, Senator Allman-Payne sat on a parliamentary inquiry into school refusal. It recognised the problem and recommended immediate additional mental health support for affected students. But whether the federal government will actually adopt the recommendations, the senator is not so sure.
Young people have waited for a very long time to get a fully funded and properly resourced education, and I think this inquiry is just another example of the fact that if we continue to fail to do that, we are really selling short the young people in this country.
We're letting them down.
We are.
That's more biology than psychology.
Oh, okay.
Sarah's mum, Kirsty, welcomes the fact school refusal is at least being discussed. She says it provides much-needed legitimacy, helping dispel the often held notion it's a made-up issue, or that treating it should be straightforward.
It's been a full-time job, sort of over and above normal parenting.
And how has this all affected your professional life, your working life?
I haven't been able to go back to work. I was pretty much 24/7 carer besides just being her normal mum, and, became a bit of a mind coach for her as well at times. Speaking to friends and even family, that was challenging because people just don't understand.
Did you feel judged or misunderstood?
Yes, to a certain extent, from some people. They sort of said, just drop her at the gate and go.
I think we're talking about a whole generation of young people here that have fallen behind. And I think the impacts will stay with them unless we do something about this quickly.
Do you fear that this issue will get worse before it gets any better?
There's no services out there for them. They can't afford them, and there's waiting lists. Hold it down, let go, and up. There she goes.
John Chellu says more help is urgently needed, but he's optimistic school refusal can be overcome. His simple but effective therapy is to get students out of confined spaces.
Cross, slip, hook.
It's a fresh start, starting with fresh air and some good old-fashioned physical activity. For Gabby, it seems to be working.
Quick hands who reached their goals from last week. Gabs, what was yours?
Walk my dog.
Walk your dog. And did you?
Once.
Once. Well done. Cool.
Gabby certainly has the intention of going to school. It's just that he just physically can't do it.
I think it's good for people to understand that it's not just some kid being naughty. He's not just misbehaving because he doesn't want to go to school. Yeah, it's more than that.
Do you ever worry about the impact of all of that lost time and what that might mean in the future?
I try not to think about it and try to just move day by day and get through it and figure it out as I go. And after school, I hope that I can get a good job that I enjoy, and probably in psychology or something, and then I can help other people with my knowledge from my personal experience as well.
Like Gabby, Sarah is moving in the right direction. It might be a sometimes slow and bumpy road back to the classroom, but she knows it's worth it.
Do you feel like you're making some progress?
Yeah, I'm making a lot of progress, yeah.
Have you been back to school lately?
Yeah, I have.
Wow. You proud of yourself?
Yeah, I'm very proud.
If this story has raised issues and you need to speak with someone, call Lifeline on 13 11 14 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800. Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for our brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.